So when you have a younger sibling growing up, more likely than not were you told to take care of them at some point alone while whoever is taking care of you does something else. And anyone with a younger sibling or relative has been through this, and it's never for a long time, but nonetheless the point is that there is no adult around. And that's usually because you're in a place that they trust and is safe enough for you to be alone without them. A house, or to a lesser extent a car, but you would never leave your child alone in a public space by themselves, especially when the oldest one is only 10 years old and the youngest is 1. But believe it or not, that is exactly what this man, Chris Lewis, did. So apparently he took his 3 kids, ages 10, 6, and 1, to his local McDonald's and then said, hey, I'm gonna be right back, daddy's gonna do a little job interview. And his kids are like, why don't we just walk to the job interview? And he's like, don't tell mom, I'll be right back. And it says that he left his 3 kids at the McDonald's play place, and before you start this bullshit saying that it wasn't a long time, he left his kids at the fucking McDonald's for 2 hours. It says he left them at 4:30 and then got back at 6:20. There are 2,300 kids that get reported missing every day. This dude had to have sold his soul to Satan, because imagine if the person who saw him leave his kids wasn't the kind of person who calls the police worried, but instead wants kids trafficked. Like, his excuse for doing this was 1, he didn't have a car, and 2, he didn't want them to walk back to his home as he went to the interview. Now, call me crazy, but if you don't have a job, why are you waiting to the very last second for you to go to the job interview? That you didn't get the job, I bet. They didn't call you back, did they? Like, unless you were doing interviews all day, then I don't see how a father can be like, home or McDonald's? Hey kids, I got some good news for you. I made a terrible decision in my brain right now. Kids? Oh, I forgot them at the store! Like, imagine letting your kids be babysat by Ronald McDonald's employees. He's like, guys, they have a Minecraft meal. You telling me that you wouldn't have left your 1-year-old there? Yes, that's what we're telling you. And what's even more insane is how many people are actually on this guy's side, saying that a 10-year-old is perfectly capable of watching their younger siblings, which I'm not doubting at all. But do you know how much attention a 1-year-old needs? This kid is gonna find some food on the floor, and instead of being told not to eat it, the 10-year-old is gonna be like, can I get some of that? Like, do you realize how old a 1-year-old is? This many. But still, people like Hannah Cox over here are saying helicopter parenting culture has to end. This is insane. A 10-year-old looking after their sibling in a safe space for a short period of time while their parents do something next door was normal like 30 years ago. Now, I like how Cox didn't take time to read any of the article about what happened and instead just got all of her information from a single tweet. If the place was next door, I'm 1000% sure he would have just taken his kids to the interview. What? Who does that? Who's like, hey, can you wait at that building across the street while I'm in this one over here? And I hate to be that guy, but you don't get an interview next to McDonald's. It's either at the McDonald's or you're at the wrong place. And she also said that it was for a short period of time. When the fuck has 2 hours become a short period of time? The big part she's really ignoring, though, is the fact that the dude is 1 year old. You know how old that is? This many. But it doesn't even matter, because this B-word doesn't even have kids herself. This single lady with no child raising experience whatsoever is telling people how to raise their kids. Someone who has had no man think they were pretty enough to impregnate them is telling other women who have how to raise their kids that she's never going to give birth to. She literally had to become a stepmom. That's how nothing of a parent she is. A step-parent is like that extra Lego piece they give you in case you lose one of the original pieces. It always gets thrown away sooner or later. But after seeing how viral her first post went, she's like, let me make myself look like even more of an idiot who doesn't know how to raise children.
Prepare to be mad. This is Chris Lewis. He is a man in Augusta, Georgia, who got arrested this week because he left his 10, 6, and 1-year-old children at a nearby McDonald's while he was literally across the street interviewing for a job. Once some Karen in the store noticed the kids there by themselves, they took it upon themselves to call the police, who then arrested him. And I just, this is infuriating to me because, first and foremost, 10 years old is plenty of age to be looking out for your younger siblings in a safe environment for a short period of time. Like, I cannot stand the helicopter oppressive parenting generation that we are currently living in. I am only in my mid to late 30s, and I grew up keeping not only my siblings, my younger siblings, but the siblings and kids of many of the families all around us by the time I was age 10.
So as you just heard, she was taking care of whole neighborhoods by the age of 10. She was her own little YMCA. Still couldn't be a mom, though. But you can tell that she's full of shit because I've worked at an after-school program taking care of toddlers all the way up to high schoolers, and you can barely leave those kids alone for 10 minutes before you have to check on them to make sure they're good, let alone leave them in a place that has constant strangers coming in and out of it. And to call the lady who called the cops a Karen is actually insane. That lady probably waited an hour before calling the cops, probably thinking this guy abandoned his kids. Because contrary to what Cox might tell you, McDonald's isn't a place that parents just leave their kids for an extended period of time. I don't care what her and her chin have to say.
We are infantilizing kids to a point where they are not able to launch as adults, and it's utterly ridiculous. Kids of the past at 10 years old could work jobs. They could help their families around their businesses, around their farms. They could certainly help babysit.
No, yeah, let's go back to the days where kids worked in factories and did hard labor. What the fuck is she talking about? Do you know when the last time a 10-year-old was able to get a job legally? When the Civil War ended. This actual nincompoop is suggesting that we regress our society back to when black people wouldn't even be allowed to leave their kids alone, let alone get a job. Yeah, 10-year-olds could get jobs back then if you were white. You want to know what a black person's job was? Wasn't even a job. I wouldn't even call it a job.
And now we have an environment where parents cannot even go for a job interview without getting arrested because their kids were alone for a minute. Secondarily, this is infuriating because anybody who would call the cops on this man in that scenario is not helping those kids. The kids were fine. They're not going to be fine if their dad is in jail. They're not going to be fine if their dad can't work. That is the bigger threat to them. So that is such a busybody thing to do. But on top of that, it is such a self-righteous, idiotic thing to do because those actions are what actually placed the kids in danger, not him going across the street for an interview. In America, we are supposed to be about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Childcare is expensive. It's hard to find. He was doing what he needed to do in order to try to provide for his family, and per usual, the government comes in with some stupid laws and smacks him back down, making it harder for him to get a job and do the right thing.
So again, she says things like a minute and across the street, and it's like you would think with a forehead as big as hers, she would have a little bit more brains up there, but nope, it's all hollow, baby. And also because she's too stupid to read anything, him getting arrested didn't do anything to stop these kids from getting further in life. Their mom came and picked them up. And I like how she calls whatever laws he broke stupid, and is like, you realize you're saying that a law that's meant to protect children is stupid because you're too stupid to read what actually happened? And she can calm down with trying to act like a civil rights leader with all this, the government is holding him down. He's not giving you the N-word pass, alright? He left his kids at McDonald's because he thought the play place was a temporary daycare.
This is utterly ridiculous. It's un-American. And again, this is not just a societal problem. It is a societal problem because this is a pressure that parents now put on one another and on others around them in society to never let your kids be alone, even for an instant, which is not fun for kids. It's an oppressive childhood. Like, the best part about my childhood was riding my bike, getting to go actually start working, getting to learn about the world around me. Like, I loved those experiences as a child. And nowadays, kids don't get to do that because people are so weird.
No, yeah, the 40-year-old who couldn't even find a guy to have her own child with couldn't wait to start working at 10 years old. She said her best childhood memories were riding her bike and getting to start working. What a shit childhood you had. How is riding your bike the best childhood memory you have? I remember going to theme parks, watching movies. She had the same childhood as someone born in North Korea. Like, I thought this was a joke at first, but her whole account is dead serious. This childless stepmother reads headlines and nothing more and then posts 4 to 5 minute videos talking about something she has little to no knowledge in. For the rest of the video, she then tries to compare Japan to America, being like, Japan isn't that safe at all, guys, so why are we treating this man like a criminal? And it's like, well, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but that's Japan. He was arrested in Georgia.
I honestly, I hear people say all the time, if you go to places like Japan, it's amazing. There's so much social trust and kids are just taking the subway and walking around by themselves. That could happen here too.
I will say I don't care that he got arrested. I wouldn't care if they said, hey, you're good. Nothing to see here. You're good to go. He did something that he wasn't supposed to and someone called the cops on him. Like I said in the beginning, he had a house to keep him at, but whatever. But because this was going so viral, other people who actually have kids saw this, and instead of saying we should go back to when black people had no rights, they actually wanted to help. So former NFL player Antonio Brown started a GoFundMe for Chris, saying, "I have partnered with GoFundMe to help raise money for Chris. Leaving his kids wasn't right, but not everyone has the money or help for childcare. Chris was on the pursuit of happiness, and sometimes people just need help. I will be donating $1,000. Now see, this is how Cox should have went about it. But also, we gotta stop saying he needed money for childcare. He literally said that he only did this because he didn't want his kids to walk back home while he went to the interview. Now again, call me crazy, but if you knew you were going to have to leave your kids alone at some point, why not just do it at your own place? But hey, the GoFundMe has raised over $40,000, and it's like, really? $50,000 because he did something no good parent would do? Insane thought process you guys have in 2025. But hey, at least you're not Cox. See you guys tomorrow. So as I'm literally about to upload this, I see this article that says RSCO releases new details on man arrested for leaving his kids at McDonald's to go job hunting. And it turns out this dude was just doing a fucking drug deal. It says the 10-year-old child told officers that she, her father, and her two siblings had walked to the McDonald's from their apartments. She said he left to deliver a backpack to the Hendricks apartments and told her that he would return shortly. The child also mentioned that the father frequently left them alone. It then says two witnesses recall that the father was on his phone with someone and was overheard saying that he needs to drop something off. The witnesses also say that after this, the father left the McDonald's, leaving the child behind. The 10-year-old daughter then contacted her mother on social media at approximately 6 p.m., which she then arrived 12 minutes later. She said that Mr. Lewis was supposed to deliver a backpack to her mother at the Hendricks apartments and had been told that he must take the children with him. The sheriff said that the mom immediately called Mr. Lewis, who answered and stated that he was on his way back to the McDonald's from the apartments. Lewis arrived at the McDonald's at approximately 6:18 p.m., still in the possession of the backpack that he was supposed to drop off. He then tried to make up some bullshit saying that he was trying to give the girl the backpack, but then the mom reminded him that you're not supposed to leave the children unattended. That's the more important part. Fuck the backpack. He then claimed that him and the children were at the McDonald's earlier in the day because he had to fill out a job application at the West Bank located adjacent to the McDonald's. But based on video evidence and the timeline provided by everyone, it was determined that Lewis was not engaged in a job interview or application process during the time the children were left unattended. So not only did this guy lie to try and make himself look better, but like I said, Antonio Brown started a GoFundMe for him called The Pursuit of Happiness, where people donated $50,000. All that because of a lie. He had to go quote unquote drop some off and didn't want to bring his kids with him. I wonder what he was dropping off that was so important that he had to leave his kids at a McDonald's. Not only does this make Antonio Brown look like a dummy, but also everyone who was saying that, oh my god, I feel so bad for him, he was just trying to do better in life, looks like a complete moron. Especially Cox over here. Especially Cox. But yeah guys, I was literally in the process of uploading this video. Like it was literally like 70% uploaded, and I was like, I'm gonna go see if I spelled this guy's name right, and I see this article. So this changes the whole thing. The title's gonna change, everything's gonna change. But until tomorrow, peace.